Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. My name is Gail Snyder. I'm the Executive Director for Dementia Friendly Fort Worth, and we are proud to offer this program in conjunction with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and United Way of Tarrant County. This program is recorded and is made available for future use through a YouTube channel. And today, our guest is Nancy Strickland with the Artful Moments program at Amon Carter Museum of American Art, and she is going to share with us Elliott Porter's nature photography. Nancy, it's all yours.
All right, good morning, everyone. Let me not talk and work at the same time. Let me get my PowerPoint up there. There we go.
She's one presenting.
So I'm just wondering if any of you are, what's the word I'm looking for? If any of you are photographers yourself, or either professionally maybe in your past or just as a hobby?
Yes. Paulette is.
Paulette, okay. Well, I'll be anxious to see your excitement again today. Are you familiar with Elliott Porter's photography, Paulette?
Yes, I am.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. Any of the rest of you interested or have had lots of experiences with photography?
I'm also a photographer. I've shown a few.
All right, Janine. For some reason, Gail, I'm not able to see. I can see my PowerPoint, but I can't see the group at all. Wait. Oh, never rings.
Down here.
I'm going to try something.
Go up to the top. You're probably in speaker view.
Okay.
You can change that to gallery view.
Yeah, I'm actually not even seeing myself. When I do this, you're not seeing, goodness. I'll just keep going. I think I recognize your voices by this time. So if you can see the full screen, then that's wonderful.
We can't see your screen yet. It's not shared.
Oh, okay. Well, then
that's what's wrong.
Peggy joined so she would learn what to do. And darn it, Peggy, I know what to do, but I just didn't do it right. I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm just watching.
Okay. So I have to, of course, that is our problem. I did not share the screen. So here's what I want to share. And then I'll open this up so you can see it full. And now I can see you
there
too.
You go.
So all good. So Elliott Porter really, I was never one really to take that many pictures. And really, I haven't traveled to nearly as many exciting places as Elliott Porter has. But I just love this nature photography and used to use it when I used to work with school-age kids when we were learning about different subjects and so forth. He led such an interesting life, and you'll see here that he was born in 1901 and lived a full 89 years. And what I think is really interesting about him, I'm going to try to put that back. What I think is really interesting about him is that he gained this interest in both science and nature, and I guess all three, and photography as a child. So even as a child, here he is, of course, as an adult, but even as a child, he was given a camera, and we'll get to that in just a moment, and took lots of pictures with that. So, and traveled the world. There is young Elliott Porter. Here he is as a young man. Any of you familiar with the Brownie Camera?
Absolutely, had one as a kid.
Did you? I was hoping that some of you may have had one of those. You know then that a Brownie Camera is, well, tell us what you did with yours and what you know about it, Steve.
I don't know. I did. My mother did it. She cut the heads off of every person she could. That's the way it is. She couldn't even use a regular camera, but yeah, after that. But it's a very basic camera.
Yes, it's very basic. It was made out of cardboard, actually.
Yeah,
just a
you
simple
had
box.
a viewfinder you look through. He had the roll film you put inside, and when you're done, you roll it back and put it in to develop, and that was it. It
That's
was all
it.
black
It
and
was-
white. All
and you
black
know,
and white. Yeah.
yes, and it was the Brownie camera that sort of made photography available
Yes.
to almost anyone because it wasn't terribly expensive and it wasn't difficult to use. So
We had a smaller one, and then we ended up with a bigger one too, because they had several sizes of Brownie camera. We ended up with 2 sizes of it. Yeah.
Interesting. So it was kind of like today's. You guys remember the disposable cameras that we had right before our phone cameras and stuff now?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
it was almost like that. You didn't throw the camera away, but it certainly it cost the equivalent of about $18 today. It was $1 or $2 to buy one at the time. So take a
Right.
look at that picture of Elliott Porter there at the top. He's out in nature, and he's actually has a strobe light system that he sort of put together and created the idea. One of the earlier focuses that he had, even as a child, he took pictures of birds in around his family home, and then as an adult, that was an interest to him, and he created a whole system in order to get up close to those birds. And it took lots of carrying in of equipment, lots of waiting, some very complicated technology at the time. And you can see that he can capture an image of this bird in motion without the blur, which was really quite amazing at the time. He started with black and white photography. And in fact, at the time that, you know, being born in 1901, so as a young man, when he's trying to maybe combine photography, which had been his hobby, with his career, he actually had a medical degree from Harvard and was a research scientist. But trying to sort of move from the science, using that as a background, understanding the technology and so forth, and moving into photography, he at first did take black and white pictures. And other photographers at the time, I wonder if any of you have heard of Ansel Adams.
Yes. Mhm.
Love him.
I do too. And you know, they were contemporaries, and Ansel Adams and Elliott Porter had quite a disagreement. I don't mean they really disagreed directly, because I don't know whether they did, but I know that Ansel Adams and other black and white photographers thought that that was the only art, because the color was too realistic and the color couldn't capture the mood and so forth. And so Porter first started with black and white birds. But now I'm going to ask you something to really kind of think about a little bit. Looking at this bird photograph, how would this be different if it were in black and white? And maybe how would it be not as useful to, say, a bird washer?
I think it'd be harder to make a definition of what's what if it was in black and white.
Okay, I agree. Any other thoughts? Any
It might
bird? Go ahead.
be more difficult to determine what type of bird it is.
Yeah, you got to have the color. So, you know, something interesting, we had an exhibition of Elliott Porter's birds fairly recently. And in fact, the exhibition was photographs that he had taken many, many years ago. One of the books that he wrote, Moments of Discovery, Adventures with American Birds, he attempted to photograph them all. It was one of I think 25 books that he wrote in his lifetime. But yes, he started with black and white, and they were rejected because you couldn't tell, you know, what bird it was. So he goes back, I think I'm misspeaking a little bit. He started with black and white photographs, and they while they were shown in a major exhibition in New York, he couldn't get things published with them. So he moved to color and moved into doing these birds, and he takes them back to a publisher, and the publisher says, well, no, now it costs too much to publish the book since they're in color. So he was kind of taken aback again. But anyway, he eventually finished the project, and we had those in an exhibition. I've been here 15 years, and it was my first time to see all those bird pictures. And it was amazing, the apparatus that he used in order to capture those pictures of the birds. So I like to throw this one in because I think it says it's an interesting photograph and it says something about the man. So this picture was taken in 1975 and Elliott Porter was born in 1901. So he's 74 years old.
Yeah.
Where do you imagine he might have been when he took this picture?
He's either Greenland or Iceland.
Oh, and you know what? He traveled in every continent in the world except Australia, I think. And he did go to Iceland and Greenland, but it's not Iceland and Greenland. It was a place that back in 75 would have been very hard for very many people to get to.
Antarctica.
Yeah, he was in Antarctica. And this is a story about his life that I think is kind of sad, but also just kind of wonderful. So he had to, be on a waiting list to get passage to Antarctica. And he got there, and shortly after he got there, he broke his leg and he had to leave. And he had to wait a whole another year to this bright season to come back. But anyway, he took this is a beautiful picture of an ice cave. And you can appreciate this picture for the science of it, the knowledge we might gain from looking at something like this, but also the beauty. I noticed the color. Paulette, what do you think? And the lines, the curvy lines, the sharp lines. Are you still with us, Janine?
Yes.
Did you take mostly color photographs?
No, I did black and white, and I used to have my own dark room.
Oh,
And
cool.
Wow.
Wow.
And I've got a collection of cameras. Here's kind of one of them.
Oh, that looks like a Brownie camera.
Yeah, well, here's my Brownie camera.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you brought those with you. Wonderful.
Oh, yeah, I used to have my own dark room back in the day when you could do that. Now it's all instant phone and stuff like
Now
that.
it's all digital, I know. But there are still working photographers that use those processes, and even processes that go back further, like to the original photographic process of daguerreotype. There are contemporary photographers using some of those same methods still.
The glass plates.
Them, yay.
Oh, before the glass plate, when it was on
Okay.
metal. Yeah, even before that. I may not have said that right. The glass plate, yes, for taking the picture.
Mhm.
Yes, I think. I don't know. My process is that great. So something that color can give us, and I'll show you this one from the Great Smoky Mountains. Lots of photography from the United States. And this one, what can this color photograph tell us that we wouldn't know if it were in black and white?
Seasons of the year.
Yeah, we can tell the time of the year. And maybe Porter even suggested that we could, we know more particularly about place when we look at something like this. I love the turning of the leaves. In fact, the last program I do with you guys is going to be it's going to be about fall color. We'll be in September. That'll be a little bit early for fall here. But I love these two.
That picture you're showing there is very real. We lived in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Oh, you did.
And so you see the mist in the morning. Looks very much, very, very realistic.
I've never seen that, but I really want to take a road trip.
That's why it's called the Great Smoky Mountains.
Uh-huh.
It looks like there's smoke on it all the time. It's not smoke. It's a mist.
Right.
It looks like smoke. That's why they named it Smoky Mountains.
It's beautiful. And I love the contrast of those of you that are artists will really appreciate those complementary colors of the orange and the blue together. I just think that's a gorgeous picture.
Actually, he did very good because usually what's in front is usually more in focus than the back, but he did a very good job of keeping the focus all the way through the picture.
You're right. I hadn't thought of that. You're right about that. I've got one more from that same area, this Waterfalls. This is you may be familiar with this highway, along some highway through the Smokies. You can't see any of these waterfalls from the road. You have to hike back in to see the waterfalls there. Have you ever done that?
Yep. Yeah.
I've hiked to see waterfalls in other places, though. They're worth the hike, aren't they?
Yeah, we lived in Transylvania County in North Carolina. It had more waterfalls than any place else in the eastern part of the country, just in that one county. And so
Well,
we'd walk in places, had big waterfalls, small waterfalls, falls, combinations of flowing one from another to another.
oh, wow.
It was beautiful.
Wow. I need to get seeing these things pretty soon before my wheels wear out. My hiking wheels wear out. So let's see what we have next. Oh, new place, new continent. Very unusual tree. Anybody know what this tree is?
I used to.
Anybody have an idea if I tell you this is in Africa, what animal
Yeah.
might be munching on this tree?
Giraffe.
A giraffe. Yeah, this is an acacia tree on the grasslands in Africa. And I just think the shape of it is so unique because of giraffes munching on it. Although there are thorns in this tree and ants live in this tree. So
It's
it makes it a little.
Probably in Kenya because the mountains in the background.
You're right. And in fact, if I go, have you been there too, Steve?
Nope, but I know
Nope.
about it.
Anybody been to Kenya?
My daughter has. She worked there for a couple months in the
Cool. I'm gonna
I've been
move over
to
to
Africa. I've been to Africa, but not to Kenya.
Oh, wow.
My
So you
wife,
know
Been
when
to
you-
Liberia.
my wife lived in Nigeria for 2 years.
Oh, wow. What did you want to say, Paulette?
Well, I said we've been to Darfur. We did some humanitarian work in Darfur.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
It's in Sudan, actually.
Yeah.
Cool. So you
I
know
was
if you're,
supposed to go to Kenya, but I had to cancel.
oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Was that Janine? Let me turn this off. I've never had my phone ring so much. The office phone never rings. It rang like 3 times. And I know we have a button that's like a do not disturb button, but I couldn't find it in my haste. And so I just left the phone off the hook. So the person that was calling me would just hear that I was busy doing something else. I knew who it was calling me. So anyway, you know, if you've gone to Africa, or you've looked into it, you know you're also going to be taking photographs of animals. So he has some wonderful animal photography as well. I just love the closeness of this.
Wow.
You guys seen
Beautiful.
in the last few days any of the stories that they're showing sometimes in little news clips of the close of the bears coming up right to people? I mean, I know that's always happened, but there have been several things recently in the news.
We
Look at all-
had them when we lived in North Carolina. They came up on our back porch all the time.
Oh, wow. Look at all the texture in this elephant's skin and those lines in his ears, her ears. I just think it's beautiful. And then here's one more that is,
Oh, I love it.
Wow.
our giraffes.
That's a great composition.
Yeah. Oh, the giraffes.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It is. With their heads, their necks sort of crossing each other.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And our cheetah.
It looks like they're playing that game where everybody gets all tangled and you have to try to get untwisted.
Like Twister?
Twister.
It does look like that. It does look like that. So we're back in the United States. What part of the United States do you think we're in now?
Either in Florida or Louisiana.
Yeah, we're not Louisiana, but Florida and the Carolinas. He took pictures, and I believe this
Yeah.
one was in the Everglades area in Florida.
Yeah.
I love these trees. I just
Yeah.
think they're so interesting. They're cypress trees, and those tree knees. You know, these little parts that are part of their root system.
Mhm.
You can see them. I think you can see this type of tree at the Botanic Gardens here in Fort Worth, and the knees. From what I looked at some years ago when I used to talk about this more, scientists didn't really ever agree as to why they had this. It might have had something to do with oxygen in, you know, acquiring that, or maybe it was for stability in the wet land. But it certainly does make a really interesting prehistoric looking tree. And, you know, talking again, based on what one of you said earlier, look how he's gotten, even though this is a little less in focus because of all the mist and everything, we can still see across this water.
And the reflection in the water is very clear.
It is. Another bird picture. This was in the Everglades. Look how close.
Beautiful.
And you know, he never disturbed the nests. He was known to like carefully maybe bend, if a nest was in a tree, maybe bend as he could, maybe bend a tree down so he could get closer to where the camera was, but he would do it little by little by little so that the bird, I guess, wouldn't notice. And over time he would do that. And even, you know, he'd set his camera, sometimes he wasn't there. They could be through a wire trip, they could be tripped and take a picture, and sometimes he got some really unusual sights. Okay, any Western people here? Surely you did not also live out west, Steve.
New Mexico
I did,
or
but not there.
Arizona.
Yeah.
You did. And so you recognize this as Monument Valley in Utah, maybe. And I heard New Mexico and Arizona, they have some rock formations like this. Was that was
Janine.
I'm sorry?
Janine.
Janine, yes, that was Janine. So you lived in both New Mexico and Arizona?
No, but I live in, you know, Texas. You're pretty close. I've been to Arizona and New Mexico.
So you traveled there. Anybody else seen these structures? So interesting. Some of them so thin like this. And so amazing to think of how long it took to create this structure. We're looking at some desert land. We've got more desert land here.
Is that the White Sands?
It's not the White Sands in New Mexico. This one is in Death Valley. This one's Death Valley.
Does this one have a title?
This one is called, I don't know.
Good title, good title.
I don't know it. I don't see a title. I know this one does have a title. They all have a title, but I don't have that on my notes. Other than this is in Death Valley.
It may just be called Death Valley. I think the symbology of the shadow in the valley of this dune is extremely interesting, and even more so when you know it's in Death Valley.
That's right. I agree. Look at the edges here. How the wind is sort of continues to shape and change that.
Mm-hmm.
And these beautiful blue mountains in the background. I have just a couple more to show you. This is a little bit hard to see. Do you remember when we talked about Georgia O'Keeffe?
Yes.
Well, Georgia O'Keeffe and Elliott Porter were friends. In fact, Georgia O'Keeffe sometimes took vacations with Elliott Porter and his wife and 3 kids, canoeing down rivers and so forth. But this is both of them, and I can't tell if Georgia has a camera in her hand. I kind of think she does not. But this is Elliott, and they are in an area called Glen Canyon, which was very near the Grand Canyon. And let me look at the year. This is sunset on the Colorado River at Cane Creek, Glen Canyon, Utah in October of 1960. And what was going on at that time is that there was a push, and it happened that it went ahead and occurred to dam up Glen Canyon and create the Powell River. Some of you may have been to the Powell River. And so Elliott and some other photographers and other environmentalists were working very hard to stop that from happening, because they thought that all of this beauty would be erased. And by the way, Elliott Porter was a member of the Sahara Club, which was an environmentalist group. And he supported them with his photographs and so forth from the 60s until his death in the 90s. And one of the books that he ended up publishing, which is a beautiful coffee table book, it's called The Place That No One Knew. And it's photographs that he took in Glen Canyon. And it's sort of a eulogy. It was published after the canyon was flooded. But you can see, similar to what you're looking at on the screen, but you can see the beautiful colors of those canyon walls and the sun and so forth. And this book, in addition to the photographs, it has the personal perceptions of the beauty of this space and the importance of this space, and the fact that it was, you know, right where they're standing in the picture is no more because it's covered with water now and won't be seen again, by others who had those same feelings and contributed to the book with narrative. Anyway, I thought that was cool. And I thought it was really cool that he spent, you know, his whole life with a passion, kind of going from his passion, I guess, for science and medicine and research, and then taking it to photography. And even as far as traveling to Antarctica when he was 74 years old. I just think he had a remarkable life. So in addition to the beauty of the photographs, and I think that's the last one. Oh, here he is, as a bit older man. In addition to the beauty of the photographs, I just think that he led such a wonderful life and left such a wonderful legacy. And his archives are here at the Amon Carter Museum. So we have, you know, as I said, recently we had the bird photographs in a show. Some years ago, we had some Porter photography shown in conjunction with a contemporary color photographer and environmentalist, and it was nice to kind of see that. His name was Robert Glenn Ketchum, to see those things kind of side by side. So I hope that tells an interesting story to you. And
Can we?
there's some final questions or comments, or I can go back to any of the slides that you want.
Can you go back to the very first one, the first bird picture? There was something very important on that picture that we didn't mention at the time.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Right there.
The bird's wings frame the nest with the baby bird in the open mouth. And
Yes.
when you were talking about the color versus black and white, that open mouth would have been just lost in the background, I think, if it had been black and white.
It would have, you're right. I am so glad you woke up to be with us this morning, Janine. You added so much, and I can see that you know a lot about photography and have a passion for it too.
I
Yeah,
do.
I think it's
I've shown a few pictures in art galleries over the years.
Cool.
Won a couple ribbons, but I haven't done it lately, and I'm trying to get back into it. So.
Well, that would be good. That would be good.
Call me, we'll get together.
I didn't realize you were a photographer, Paulette. That's good to know.
The days where I would sit in a dark room for hours on end, I kind of sometimes wonder, now that I have COPD, what was I breathing?
Oh, no.
So Nancy, I had another comment or thought about the very last photograph.
Okay. I'm just doing this the old-fashioned way. Oh, okay.
Go back one. Not
Back
that one, but the
yeah.
next, the one before that. So I'm looking at both of these photographs, and it looks as if the black and white with Elliott Porter and Georgia O'Keeffe, it looks like their backdrop is what's on the left side of the color photograph.
Right.
So like they're standing in front of those cliffs where it's dark.
Well, you know, so much of the Glen Canyon, and you can still see, in fact, I went on a raft trip through the Glen Canyon because you can do that. You know, if you go on a raft trip through the Grand Canyon, you have to go for days. So you can go on an afternoon through part of Glen Canyon. And so much of the sides, you can still see some of the sides. You can't see it, you know, the full height of everything because so much is underwater. But what was I going to say? So much of the sides look like this. I just put those two pictures together. So I'm going to guess they're probably not in exactly the same place.
Mm-hmm. But it kind of gives the appearance of that.
Oh, it does. Yeah.
You notice the rainbow in it?
Mm-hmm.
The rainbow
I didn't, Steve. I
in the color
didn't notice
picture.
that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a very good quality slide, and I apologize for that. I'm sure that picture is more clear than that.
I'm looking on my phone, so it's kind of small. I don't see the rainbow.
It's right here.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that.
Oh, now I can
It's
see.
kind of faint.
Yeah, see the cars down
Anything else?
That pot of gold is right at the top of that mountain.
there.
right here.
Right.
Well,
No,
who was-
no, over here.
Oh,
Go
okay.
to the right there, right where
Okay.
they're coming down.
Let's
Anyway.
let's go then. Let's take a
Going
trip.
in the background.
What did you want to say, Paulette?
Oh, it was a question. The woman photographer who did all the gorgeous black and white photos from the Depression in those years, what was her name?
Well, I may ask Peggy. Laura Gilpin is someone in our collection who did
No, not
some
her.
photographs during that time period, but
She
you're
was- oh.
thinking of Peggy. Who's she thinking of? Peggy may not be here anymore.
Okay.
I know. Oh, it's just right on the tip of my tongue. Not. You're talking about like
Depression
the
photos.
photographs from the work camps, like in California. The mother with the two children is a very famous photograph.
Yes. Yeah. I can't think of her name. It's driving me crazy.
I can't either, and now you're driving me crazy.
I don't know. For me, it's a short trip, but anyway.
Huh. I don't know. If you don't figure it out by next time, I'll try to figure that out by next time and let you know. And I'll be back next week.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll give me time to
Yay.
find it.
Yeah, next week we'll be doing we'll be looking at landscape paintings, which will be fun.
Okay.
And we'll be doing that from the gallery space, I hope.
Cool.
That's good. Sounds good.
Okay.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Yay.
Okay.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Thank
I
you.
enjoy seeing y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoyed
Enjoyed
it
it.
so much.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so before we close and everybody starts to go away, let me give you a little highlight about tomorrow.
Okay.
Got her down for a coffee today, right now.
I've already given you a tease for this. Tomorrow, we are baking cookies.
Oh, yay.
So it's cookie conversations at 10:30. And yesterday in our session, we selected a chocolate crinkle cookie. And my son and I tested the recipe last night.
Oh, you're breaking my heart.
They are fabulous. You're going to be so thrilled. He loves brownies, and he said they kind of have at first a taste and texture of a brownie,
Yeah.
but they're almost better when they're cooled.
Ooh.
Yeah. So the picture that I showed yesterday does do the cookie justice. Let me see. I have another slide I can show you real quick for those who weren't here yesterday. Let's see if I can get to it. There we go. This photograph that I pulled up online is very much like how the cookies turned out.
Wow, they look good.
So,
They crack me up.
what's that?
I said they crack me up.
Oh,
You have such a quick wit, Pauline. And I also want to remind you, I am putting in the chat box immediately following this, if you'd like to join me for our 5th Street Cafe Zoom chat, we will just have conversation. Last week we got to know one another a lot better. And so I'm putting that in the chat box right now.
When is it?
Right now.
As soon as we end this one, we go to the other one, and so it starts immediately following this, but unfortunately we have to go to a different room.
I am going to take just a moment to get a glass of water and something to eat.
Okay.
And then,
and then you'll join us there.
I
So
will. And I have some of my photographs that I can show you guys if you want.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah,
So you should see the link in your chat box. All you have to do is click on that link and you'll meet me in the other room.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right. Thank you,
All right.
Gail.
Hope to see you all.
Thank
Y'all
you.
have a
Bye,
great rest
everybody.
of the day. All right. Bye.